Episode 9 Journey to Nottingham. One day in the autumn, Robin Hood the Fox visits Twilight Sparkle and Spike at their treehouse in Ponyville. He told them about the secrets of the magic Zeo crystal. Later that day, Twilight relaxes on top of the treehouse, but she hears Spike chasing a squirrel in the house. She stops the little dragon and shouts, "Hey! Leave him alone!" After Twilight scolds him and storms off, Spike was dismayed. "She does not love me anymore," he said to himself sadly. That night, Cusco the llama finds Spike on the treetop. He told him that he should go on a vacation. The next morning, Spike told Twilight that he is going to Nottingham with Cusco. When Twilight is studying on a book, Spike and Cusco took a ride on Thomas the Tank Engine to the town of Nottingham. The little dragon went on a misadventure with Robin, who battles an evil wolf called the Sheriff of Nottingham. Later that day, Spike was tricked by Kermit the Frog, who sold him to a mean lion called Prince John. When Fluttershy saw what happened, she flew back to the Enchanted Forest and warned Twilight. "Spike is our friend," she told Fluttershy. They are off to rescue Spike. Episode 10 The Escape. One night, at the castle of Nottingham, Twilight and Fluttershy found Spike, who was imprisoned in a cage. Sad and terrified, Spike begged Twilight to help him. She and Fluttershy freed Spike from the cage with their magic powers. The ponies and the dragon escaped to the mountains. Meanwhile, Cusco the llama thanked Robin Hood the Fox for defending Twilight and her friends. After Friar Tuck the Badger sang "The Phony King of England," Cusco ran to find Twilight. By the next day, Twilight, Spike, and Fluttershy relaxed on a cliff that was nearby a waterfall. Suddenly, Prince John attacked them, but Cusco came to the rescue and battled Prince John. He kicked the prince off the ledge, sending him falling down the waterfall, never to be seen again. Later that day, the animals returned to the Enchanted Forest. Spike told Twilight why he ran away from her. "You are my assistant and friend. You always will be," she told him, and they embraced. As the animals sang "Time to Say Goodbye," Maid Marian and Robin spent the night together. Elsewhere, the great stag discovered a prophecy at the old castle. A member of his family will bring justice back to the forest. Episode 11 The Duo. A small fox kid lived with her mother somewhere in the Enchanted Forest. But one day, a man called the Forester came to the forest. He was after a poacher named Harista ever since. As the forest animals sang "The Forester," the little fox was chasing a frog. They bumped into the Forester, who relaxes at a tree. After the frog fled, the Forester learned that the baby fox was abandoned. He adopted her and named her Sharp-Ears. After the Forester took Sharp-Ears to his cottage with him, Twilight Sparkle the unicorn was in the forest. She sensed there is a warning from the future. In a small city far from the forest, a mouse named Jerry and a cat named Tom are abandoned by their owners. The duo are forced to leave the city, and they walked into the Enchanted Forest. Later that night, Tom and Jerry are chased by a pack of wolves, but Robin Hood the Fox rescued the duo. After the wolves fled, Robin helped the duo move to a barn where the farm is. The seasons passed. One day in the autumn, Robin introduced Tom and Jerry to Twilight and Spike. After spending time with Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash, and Pinkie Pie, Tom and Jerry walked to a nearby farm where they befriended a young vixen. It was Sharp-Ears who grew. Doing a musical number, Mischief on the Farm, Sharp-Ears ate the farm chickens and ran into the forest. After the forester and his wife shooed the fox away, he did not know how to feel about it. Tom and Jerry followed the fox into the enchanted forest. Meanwhile, Twilight and her friends realized there is danger. Man was in the forest, the forest animals warned them. Deep in the woods, a poacher named Gaston Legum and his assistant, LeFou, hunted down some geese and left. Winter arrives. Sharpears found a small place called the Den. She encountered a mean badger and kicked him out. The badger ran away, never to be seen again. During the winter, Tom and Jerry have misadventures with Donald Duck, Goofy, Willie the Giant, Scooby-Doo, the dog, and Mystery Inc. Spring arrives, and Tom is having a crush on Sharpears. But one night, Sharpears won the heart of Dashwood Fox. The next day, after the love theme, a sad Tom sat alone on a rock. But when Twilight came, she told Tom that Piglet wants to have a crush on her. Sharpears and Dashwood have little foxes. Episode 12, The Pursuit. One night at Friar Tuck's church, the sheriff of Nottingham captured the friar and took him to a dungeon at the old castle. Once there, Gaston and LeFou are plotting with their boss, the shady cloaked figure, as they sang every little piece. The figure is revealed to be an arrogant and selfish white unicorn called Prince Blueblood. He plots to take Twilight Sparkle for himself. The next day, the Fox family are curious about Harrista's trap as they sang the Fox Trap. After Jiminy Cricket sang Love is a Song, Twilight and her friends rescued Friar Tuck. In a brief fight with Robin Hood, the sheriff fled and LeFou were formed. Later that night, Gaston shot Sharpears down with an arrow. After Harrista fled, Gaston chased Tom and Jerry up a cliff. Lunging at Tom, Gaston fell to the forest below. Tom and Jerry cried out tears of sorrow at Tuck's church. But then, the next morning, Tom's parents, Musette and John Tom, brought Sharpears to the duo. She was alive. As Tom and Jerry embraced, Twilight and Spike visited the forester and Robin. As Robin sang Fields of Gold to Maid Marian, Twilight met a Pegasus named Flash Sentry. For now, justice returned to the forest.